Folks, you might have noticed that the catalog is down. No need to worry, we're just doing a little manual update. It should be completed later today. In the meantime, we won't be able to listen to music, but I was able to get authorization to download a book, which I will be reading today. I hope you enjoy The Hobbit, a novel by J.R.R. Tolkien. In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit. Not a nasty, dirty, wet hole, filled with the ends of worms and an oozy smell, nor yet a dry, bare, sandy hole with nothing in it to sit down on or to eat. It was a hobbit hole, and that means comfort. It had a perfectly round door like a porthole, painted green, with a shiny yellow brass knob in the exact middle. The door opened, shaped hole.
We interrupt this scheduled broadcast for a breaking news update from the Sticky Buttons podcast.
This is the Sticky Buttons podcast. What is up, guys? It's your host, Brandon.
And this is Blake, and welcome to the Sticky Buttons podcast. It's a pretty chill video game podcast where we talk about the games we love. And today I am so excited because we were talking about Dragon Quest XI, Echoes in Elusive Age S.
Definitive Edition. You had it.
Okay, it's Dragon Quest Echoes of an Elusive Age, a definitive edition S.
Yeah, and we're gonna. I'm so stoked to get into this game. You know, I think I might have mentioned this in prior episodes. I've started this franchise playing Dragon Quest VIII back on my DS. Another just great, well done game by Square Enix, and now I'm all the way here in 2021 playing the 11th version of it, and God, I love it, and I have so much to say about it. I just can't wait to get into it. But before we get into that, we have some more things to talk about.
Yeah, definitely, man. So last week we kind of talked a little bit about the GameStop stock situation and AMC and some of the other stocks, and I kind of just, after a week has gone by, I really just wanted to say some more things about it, because a lot has happened since then. I kind of just wanted to have like a definitive take based on everything that we know and just kind of move forward with our gaming podcast, you know, because that's what it's all about is the games that we love. And, you know, I personally have like a little bit of experience in industry insight, and I just wanted to share that with everybody. So really kind of what I want to say is my goal is really to inform you guys so you guys don't lose money and fall victim to something that you don't understand. So I'm going to try and keep it in like 4 main points. I'm going to try and like explain to you guys best what's happening, the underlying causes, and my quick recommendations and opinions. And I have like a little statement about it. Thank you guys for indulging me on this. But basically, it feels like it's been everywhere, and it feels like it's been literally everything that everybody's talking about. But over like this past week, GameStop stopped, and a couple other stocks like AMC have shot up like a huge percentage, like 300-400%. And in GameStop's case, I think it's close to 1,200%. And it's just crazy because a lot of people are really upset about it because a lot of brokerages have frozen trading. And yesterday, actually it was yesterday, they closed the New York Stock Exchange stopped trading like almost, I think it was 5 times on the trading of GameStop, which, you know, they're allowed to do. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys some takes on this.
Yeah, just a note, yesterday was February 2nd, 2021, with the time that we're recording this.
Yeah, so we do publish with a little bit of a lag. So today is February 3rd, and the last episode that we recorded was also on that Wednesday, which is when this all started. So basically, there is market manipulation, and that was made possible by online organizers. However, it's a little bit more complicated than that. Because obviously like GameStop is involved, and that's kind of why we are talking about it. Just because we wanted to make sure that none of you guys like lose money and get emotionally and financially invested in this. So first off, the financial world in particular is just so immensely complicated that really there's no like one person that's a definitive expert, and it's just so complicated. There's so many people, there's so many moving parts, so many companies and oversights. Just wanted to let you guys know that if one single person really knew what was going to happen in the markets tomorrow, they wouldn't tell anybody, and they would become the richest person in the world, because there are a lot of people out there that have really loud voices and some pretty strong opinions about this. And just know that myself included, like if I knew it was going to happen, I would be super rich. And
Same here. I would not tell a soul, and
Yeah.
I would be greedy about it.
Yeah, definitely. So it's also like, because of that, it's very hard to find reliable and trusty sources, because just about everybody has something in the game, especially with the financial markets. That couldn't be more true, because a lot of people that publish financial news have, stock and say in this as well. So I kind of have a couple reasons why the brokerages had to stop trading that I kind of wanted to outline for you guys. So the reason number one why Robinhood had to stop the trading on, I guess it was Thursday, which was, the day immediately following this, is because the DTCC increased the limit of collateral that each brokerage had to have to continue to operate.
What is the DTCC?
Yeah, so the first question you'd probably ask is the DTCC, and they're the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, and they regulate things like how much a brokerage has to have in collateral based on their trading balances. And they're kind of like a regulatory agency, you could say. And kind of something that if you did some research, you would find that they are, in quotation marks, they're user owned. So they're a regulatory agency, but they're owned by the users of the people that would use this agency, which you guessed it, are banks, brokers, institutional investors. So it almost seems kind of rigged, which is why there's so many ordinary people that are very emotionally invested in this. And the second reason why a lot of the brokerages had to freeze the trading is because you probably might not know this, but it actually takes 2 entire days on average for you to actually purchase a stock.
2 business days?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a little bit more. And basically what happens when you buy a stock, the brokerage or the lender the brokerage or the place that you were buying the stock from, they lend it to you at the price that you
Purchased it
buy it from. Mm-hmm. And then after the 2 days, they own the stock in their trading balance. And that's kind of what they do. So that's how they're able to connect people really fast that want to, if you want to buy a stock, for example, let's say Brandon wanted to buy a stock of Apple and I own a stock of Apple and we both have Robinhood accounts. The stock doesn't necessarily have to trade hands because the broker might actually have that. And then they can just say, oh, we'll just connect you two. And that's that. There's also, this is probably something that you didn't know as well. There are a lot of, Robinhood, for example, there's no fees on trades, which is generally how brokerages have made money in the past. They kind of say, all right, you have to pay 1% of the trade to us as the fee for being the middleman to getting you this stock. And there are actually computers and AI that can work faster than you as a person. So they'll see that you are putting in the buy order, and when you hit send, if you are on Robinhood, for example, and if you want to test this out, go find a cheap stock and try and buy it, and you'll find that when you buy it, it's a couple cents higher than what the market price is, or whatever it was a second ago, and it happens so fast, and there are computers that purchase it and sell it in that fraction of a second, and they normally make on those it's anywhere from half a cent to 50 cents per transaction. And it's something that's good to remember, even, in this age. If a product is free, you are the product. So Instagram and Facebook, for example, it's free for us to use, but they sell that space to people to market it.
Shout outs to The Social Dilemma. That's something I learned watching that, and it really hit home for me. And yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, definitely. So with Robinhood, for example, it's a free service, and they do make half a cent to 50 cents on average per transaction. So if you're going to buy something, they're going to make money off of that. But it's indirectly because they basically connect you with a third-party seller, and then they take a small fee for doing that, which, I mean, it is what it is. But basically, I mean, in my opinion, we're better off with services like Robinhood, because there's a lot of people that wouldn't be able to be in the financial markets that can't be now.
Yeah.
So I have some more notes that I want to go over and say some things that are a little bit more scripted. So expect, like, specifically with GameStop, as you have probably heard, its stock rise is based on momentum. Momentum basically is just inflated price. So going back to the 2 days that it takes for you to buy a stock, as you can imagine, if, let's say, for example, you decided to buy GameStop and in 2 days the price fell from 300 to 100, for example, which is kind of what happened in the past couple of days. It was at 300 and now it's trading at around like 120, and that fall, that's a direct loss that the brokerage is going to have to take, because when you put that order in, when they lent it to you, for example, it was at 300 and now it's at less than that. So as you can imagine, that is why they would also want to stop that. And this is also one of the many reasons why momentum trading is a bad trading strategy. And basically the momentum strategy is what's happening right now, where there's just so much momentum based on online organizers, and they're able to artificially inflate the stock price. And the stock price is not based on intrinsic value or profits, and therefore it's most likely to fall.
When you say online organizers, who are you referring to?
So online organizers, the ones I'm specifically referring to are like the people that are on Reddit that are that originally organized this whole thing.
Yeah.
Were you aware of the origins of this at all?
I know there's a subreddit called like r dash like deep something, and that was like one of the subreddits where a lot of this was happening, and then it like kind of spread out. I remember seeing on my Instagram, just like, I have some I go to business school, so I have some friends that like trade and stuff, and they're posting about it, trying to get their friends and family to do it, and it's just like one of those things where it just spreads.
Yeah, so that's something that, like, for example, me, I immediately knew what all that meant. But for somebody that doesn't understand what that meant, basically, there's a couple subreddits. The one that's most like quote unquote quoted in the news is, I think, the subreddit called Wall Street Bets, which has since been removed. And basically there are a couple others as well. And basically momentum trading is when basically a lot of people decide that we are going to buy this. If I was going to buy 100 shares at $3.59 and I put that order in, and then Brandon sees that, he's like, oh, wow, so many other people are buying this right now, I'm going to buy it at 160, or I'm not even going to specify it, I'm just going to put the buy order in. And when those two people met, the meeting of those is what drives the stock price up. So basically the demand for buyers and sellers to meet is what perpetuates the stock price upward. And a lot of hedge funds and stuff have a strategy that has been very successful for them in the past, especially over the last 5 years, because there's been just so much volatility in the world and the market specifically, that they do a bet called a short, which is basically, it also, there is some elitism, and not every single person has the ability to even place these kind of bets. Like I mentioned, I have a lot of my trading money with TD Ameritrade. In order to make these kind of bets, you have to have $2,000 in your trading account. And then you also have to meet their equations for you to be able to make the margin, which, to make the margin, is basically you have to have cash in your account to buy it back. So when you short a stock, basically you are telling your broker, hey, I believe this stock is going to fall. I think it's going to fall so much that I'm going to lend yours out. And then if it goes up, I'll buy it back. But if it goes down, you have to pay me the difference. This kind of. So with the short, obviously it's very risky, because there is no limit on how much you can lose, which is why a lot of these brokerages lost a lot of money, and why there are a lot of people that are angry. Well, actually, we'll get into that in a second, but I guess, does that basically clear that up, what I mean by online organizers and momentum trading?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I'm just going to move on to why are people are so upset. And a lot of people are upset because they believe they're being unjustly stopped from exercising their financial freedom to invest in these stocks and these huge gains, and they're not allowed to because you can't buy on a lot of these trading brokerages and accounts. So, I mean, have you heard anything about that in your business school? Have you guys talked about that in your classes at all?
Like shorts and
No, I guess just why people are so upset about this.
not yet. I just had my first week of classes this week actually. But I'm certain we're gonna get into it. You know, I'm taking a finance course right now, Principles of Finance. I'm taking a managerial accounting course right now. Shoot, I might ask my professors some things about this situation, especially now that you're bringing up some things that are really I feel like I need to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually kind of the second part of what I wanted to talk about was the underlying economic factors of kind of why people are so upset about this. So as somebody that's in the industry and I have a degree in this, I know that there is some unjust and there is some elitism in America, and I feel like I understand capitalism or the quote unquote the theory of capitalism pretty well, just as I studied it so much. But so basically the underlying causes of this is because a lot of people feel like they cannot exercise the economic freedom that some of these brokerages and hedge funds are able to exercise.
Yeah.
And just kind of really quick, economic oppression is a very real form of oppression, and that is something that a lot of people in the United States are suffering from right now, especially, our entire labor force has been disrupted, and, we're in the middle of a pandemic. So basically money and assets or liquid assets, which is money, are more important now than ever. And a lot of people feel like on top of everything, that is just additionally being restricted. And, there is actually like a word for this, and people actually study this, and it's called the wealth gap. Have you heard of this?
The wealth gap between like the 1% and the rest of the people in this economy.
Yeah. So the wealth gap is kind of just the difference between different demographics. And I actually have some numbers here. So this is the most recent economic data that I was able to find, and this is from Q2 of 2020. So that's the second quarter of 2020. And if you don't know how that is broken up, it's kind of every 3 months, because 3 times 4 is 12 months in a year. So this would be from March to the end of June of 2020, and currently it's quarter 1 of 2021. So it just because of the enormity of the data, it's really hard. There's just so much that there is normally a lag on this kind of stuff. So the bottom 50% of Americans currently hold $2.11 trillion. That is, on the whole, that's about 1.85% of the net worth of our nation. So just again, bottom 50% of people in America hold 1.85% of our nation's wealth.
That's actually really, I don't know, that's just a lot to like fathom.
Yeah, and it's even worse when I tell you the second part of this, which is the top 10% hold 78.35 trillion, which is 69% of our nation's wealth. Just to reiterate that, the bottom 50% of Americans hold 1.858% of our wealth, and the top 10% hold 69% of our nation's wealth. So, and I mean, I personally, I'm assuming you too, Brandon, because you're in college and I'm a recent grad myself. We're in the bottom 50. There's no question on that. Just something else to bring up: the 50th to 90th percentile, which is 40%, they hold 29% of the nation's wealth. So that is the 90% of Americans hold the 29.13% and the less than 2%. So actually, I didn't calculate that out because I didn't realize that I was going to, I guess, have just explained it this way.
I'm just imagining like a pie, and that's like 90% of Americans hold less than 30% of that pie.
Yeah, it's actually so basically what it actually is 90% of Americans hold 30.988% of our nation's wealth, whereas the top 10% holds 69. Which also in my economics classes, we kind of talk about this. I can't cite this, the exact numbers at this moment, but it's something worth bringing up. The people that are in the top 1% are generally not the same people year over year, which means that if somebody is in the top 1% one year, it is statistically improbable that they will be in the top 1% next year, because it is very hard to be in the top 1%.
To maintain that level of wealth.
Mm-hmm. At my company, for example, 2020 has obviously been an incredibly hard year for everybody. A lot of the executives in my company, there's been a lot of turnover the past couple of months, just because, it's burnout is really what it is. But, they're just saying, oh, we're moving on to new horizons and whatnot. But yeah, so it is very hard to do that. And it's kind of one of those things where if you're at a top executive position, that's probably all you do. You probably don't have a life outside of that. But also I kind of cited some big numbers. So I just wanted to give you guys another additional tool just to visualize some of that, just because it's hard to visualize what millions, billions, and trillions are. So I have this, I did not do these calculations. These are posted on the internet. They're pretty easy to find. But just to kind of help you visualize the difference between 1 million, 1 billion, and 1 trillion. So if you basically put it into seconds, 1 million seconds is 11 and a half days. And 1 billion seconds is 31 3/4 of a year. Again, as I say that again, $1 million, 1 million seconds is 11 and a half days, and a billion seconds is 31.34 years, or 0.75 years. 1 trillion seconds is 31,710 years. So
that's insane.
It's pretty unfathomable. So like even though that is kind of unfathomable, 1 trillion seconds is 31,710 years. That is 158 times longer than recorded history. Yeah. So it's just like incredibly large numbers. And for, a couple of people to have that kind of wealth in a capitalist society is kind of scary. So yeah, that's why a lot of people are upset, is just because the wealth of our nation is not distributed fairly or evenly. And, as individuals, we have absolutely no say in the status of the wealth that we're born into. And that's why people are so upset. It's completely unfair and unjust. And there's no reason why 10% of people should have almost 70% of the wealth, and the bottom 90 have 30 of it.
Yeah, that's just insane. And it's so hard to just picture it. Like, how did we allow ourselves to get to this point? It's a lot to think about.
And it's also just something else that I want to say to the people that are trying really hard to basically be part of this momentum, because it can feel like a big moment in history, because there's so many people that are causing these momentums to affect the stock price. And there's so many people jumping on this train, in order to hopefully be a part of history, and just kind of not to make you depressed, but just kind of to make sure that you really understand what's going on. The New York Stock Exchange has been operating since 1876. And, these kind of 100%, 200% gains, they've been happening for people, since then. And, a lot of the times it's initial public offerings, which is when a stock initially becomes offered to the public. And a lot of these things happen behind closed doors. And, it's an exclusive club that very few, get the opportunity to participate in, which is why people are so eager to jump on these humongous gains. Because, like I said, it's almost unfathomable, to even imagine a 300% increase, in a couple of days. So really quick, I just want to shout out, if you're interested in looking into any more of this data before I kind of move on to my own personal opinions and stuff, the World Bank is a good a good resource that you could look into for information on the wealth gap. Again, that's called the World Bank. I think it's like worldbank.org. That is BANK. I don't know if I if I clarified that, but yeah, World Bank. They basically are trying to end poverty in the world. That's kind of their goal. And they have a huge amount of economic data on that kind of stuff. And if you were like, if what I said kind of interests you and you were maybe like, oh, like economics is pretty cool, I'm just going to real quick direct you to this one person, and her name is Dr. Deirdre McCloskey. And she kind of talks about like how much wealth the average person has had since the Industrial Revolution. So, and she's really cool. Basically, I know that we've said a lot of numbers here, but basically she kind of in her work say that it's the average person today is 17,000% better off than they were in the Industrial Revolution. Which
I have a question though.
Yeah,
what exactly is wealth? Like, how would you define
Yeah,
wealth?
so yeah, it's a good question, Brandon. So wealth is basically the amount of capital and assets and the ability to get capital and other assets. So that second part is not as important, but it's kind of important. So for example, my wealth would be considered as all the money that I have in my banking account plus everything that I own. And that would include all of the stocks that I own. It would include my TV and my Xbox, things like that. That's just me as a person. Like, for example, if you were somebody that had very wealthy parents, that wealth would also include the stocks that your parents had bought, because you can pass those on. So that kind of capital or those kind of assets that can be passed on like that are not taxed when they are passed from person to person. So like if I wanted to give Brandon my shares of Apple, they would not be taxed on me giving them to him. But if I sold them, I would be taxed on it. So that's how massive amounts of wealth can get transferred from person to person.
Because the reason I asked that is because today I was in my finance lecture and I was called naive by my professor because he asked the question, what is a CEO supposed to do? Like, what is the purpose of the CEO? Sorry, the CFO. And I said to maximize profits. That's what I kind of learned in prior classes, but he was like, no, it's not to maximize profits. It's actually to maximize wealth. And it's something that kind of hit me today. It's like,
yeah. So if you're in one of those, so for example, if you are trying, the difference that he was trying to make is that if you maximize profit, that is cash that you are bringing in, which is a taxable asset, it's also, obviously it's the most useful right now because we're quote unquote in a recession, and having flexibility in assets is it's very nice to have. It's more important in times of uncertainty. But for example, you can have assets that are tax deductible, and you can have there are ways that, there's just endless possibilities, but basically for example, there are other ways that you can have, I'm trying to figure word this properly. There are other ways that you can grab assets without it directly affecting the cash that you have at the end of the year, like an acquisition, for example, an acquisition of another company. And you don't necessarily have to buy another company with cash. That's the most common, but let's say you have a division of your company that is underperforming and has been underperforming for years, and you just so happen to have a buddy that's an executive and he is in desperate need of a team like this. And you say, hey, I'll give you this whole division, all of these people, but you give me one of your divisions, in exchange. And that would directly make both companies better off without having those gains be taxable or even known, because they might not have to disclose that.
Yeah.
Which could be a competitive advantage.
My professor also mentioned that profits can be manipulated.
They absolutely can.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So this is the example that's coming to my mind most. It just came to the top of my mind is bad debt, for example. What is bad debt?
That's like debt that you are expecting is not going to get paid back, or it probably will, but not in a timely manner.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say is bad debt a loss?
It can be in certain cases, but not necessarily.
Yeah, so bad debt, for example, is basically just debt that you're not going to collect on, and that can directly impact the amount of money that your company gets taxed. Because, for example, with bad debt, it's expensed and its assets, or that's not. I was trying to think of an accounting thing, but I can't remember that. Basically, expenses get taken off of your bottom line. So because you have more expenses, therefore your profit margin is lower because you have more expenses.
See,
Does that? I guess that's a bad way of saying it. That's I explained that poorly. Let me redo that. So bad debt is an expense. So that means that in order to become profitable, you have to surpass your expenses. So bad debt, you basically is a non-issue for you because you obviously know year over year you're going to have a certain percent of bad debt, and bad debt can directly impact your expenses, which can inflate your expenses, which can deflate profits. So like, let's say for example, you're a company and you're like, oh my gosh, we have had an absolutely incredible year, but we don't want to, but the administration passed a bad tax or a tax law that would make you have to pay an unusual amount of taxes. You can say, hey, go sell to anybody and everybody. I don't care if we can get this money in because we've had such a good year. We need to protect what we've got. So therefore,
right.
the bad debt would be increased, therefore increasing the expenses, which would make them less profitable, even though that cash was still coming in.
I see.
So that's one way that it could be manipulated. Well, okay. So this has quickly turned into a business podcast. But really quick, I just want to say some things before we move on to Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Illusion Age, Definitive Edition S. Real quick, I just want to make sure that everybody is very careful with their money out there. You know, my personal opinion on the situation is that this kind of balances out the powers a little bit, and because of that, it's going to make the fundamentals of investing even more important. Which the fundamentals of investing, which you can Google those on your own, but basically it's investing for the long term, invest based on intrinsic value, which is the real value, and try not to get caught up in the hype. I just don't want you to lose your money on this, trying to manipulate the market and putting your own assets at risk, just because that's like really real money. And, you know, we as gamers, it just feels like sometimes, even with the gaming world, we just spend so much money. And I don't want you to be caught up in this because you're like, oh, I know GameStop. Like, I'm familiar with the industry. Like, I think maybe I could make some money on this. I'm really going to recommend strongly that you don't do that. You know, because trying to manipulate the market like this it's kind of like trying to move a mountain one grain of sand at a time. You know, the system's really stacked against you.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really just want everyone to be careful. And I mean, of course, I want the people to succeed. You know, I mean, obviously I want that. And I do feel like we're all economically oppressed. And, you know, that feels, you know, economic oppression is really real. It's just as real form as any other. And, you know, we're free people. And as free people, you know, we really have to stand up against all forms of oppression. And it's our duty to stand against those wrongs, you know, and I want our world to be the best, you know, and we, you know, one way that we can do that is by righting the wrongs of the past, you know, but trying to manipulate GameStop stock, it's not it. It's not the sword that you should fall on. And the ability to have fair and equal trades, you know, is very important, but it's a pawn in this game of trying to get economic freedom for all. And it's not the fight that really matters. And I just wanted to promise you all that the time will come when we have to all stand together and fight, you know, for the freedoms of our world. But this is just not it. And just please be safe with your money. And if you're an inexperienced investor with like little knowledge or self-taught knowledge, just let this, you know, work out on its own and just try and be safe with your money.
Yeah, that's a great point. I just want to reiterate that. If you can't buy it twice, I wouldn't suggest buying it in the first place. You know, and that kind of goes for a lot of things. I was hearing a lot of stories of people like selling their last like assets and like just really putting their bets on this GameStop stock. And it's just sad to hear, you know, because there's just so many other things that require money, and for you to try and like go against this is like you said, like trying to move a mountain. Hedge funds have a hard time.
Yeah, I think you were saying the hedge funds have a hard time with this, and
Yeah, they do. They have a hard time, and for you to think like as a person that you can try and do these things is just kind of silly. I There are people who actually like are in positions to invest and can do these things and choose not to because they just don't have the knowledge of doing it. Like I was talking to my mentor last week, and he's decently well off, but he was telling me how he stays away from the market because he just doesn't have an idea what he's doing and he doesn't want to lose his money. And that's coming from someone who actually has a decent amount of money. So if you don't know what you're doing, just don't do it.
yeah, definitely. And like I said, it's just so immensely complicated, and not one person will ever truly know. And it is just so complicated. So if you are looking to invest, just real quick, I am actually, going to give Robinhood a shout out here. Now, before I do, Robinhood is absolutely not the hero, and they are absolutely not the villains of this story. I know that there are a lot of people that are like saying that some of these Robinhood execs should get arrested. They had no control in stopping the trading both times because
they're just a platform.
Right, because the DTCC made them up their collateral, and the actual New York Stock Exchange made them halt it yesterday. So just so they're not the villains here, but they're also not the heroes, and they are absolutely making money off of you, and they are owned by a hedge fund. So just like keep that all in mind. But if you were like, hey, I think that Apple's a good investment, I want to put $5 in Apple, Robinhood gives you the ability to like actually put like literally $5 in and buy a fraction of a share. I have done that with a couple things. Also, I feel like I should give a disclosure. I own some Apple stock. I just kind of use that as some examples today. But so like I said, everybody has skin in this game.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and if you are going to own stock, I would suggest like investing in things that you actually use in your daily life. And like Blake and I both have Apple products, so it would make sense for us to actually be invested in the company if, we plan to like keep purchasing their products. I have the iPhone, I have the Apple Watch, I have a MacBook. So it's like at this point, I'm invested in the company, whether or not I own a share or not. So just owning a share is like that added like layer of just kind of makes sense. If you own a car that's manufactured by Ford, and you plan to get another one if your car does break down, or
I'm also a shareholder of Ford.
It makes sense to be invested in these things because you kind of already are invested into them.
Yeah, absolutely. And really quick, just to kind of end this segment and move back onto our video game podcast, we have a little mascot of the show. We named him last episode or 2 episodes ago. We named him Gengar. That is our little engine that could. He's one single stock of Sony that we bought for the pod. And I hate to say it, Brandon, because I kind of said like 2 or 3 episodes ago, don't buy this because it's at an all-time high. Hey man, it's at a 19-year high today, and it's up 10.64% since I bought it. So.
There we go, folks. Gengar is not the cursed Pokemon. It's not a cursed stock.
Well, we don't know about that yet. But yeah, well, Gengar's doing all right for now.
That's good news, man. I'm glad to hear that. I'm really glad to hear that. And wow, I gotta get me some Gengars in my portfolio.
Oh, the cursed stock. So, Brandon, what have you been playing, man? I'm so excited to move this podcast along away from our business session.
all the financial stuff. And hey, I for one really appreciate all the financial stuff. I feel like I'm learning a ton from you, just extracting like knowledge, and
Yeah,
you're
man.
like a great
I
person for
appreciate
me to
that. I
learn from.
also appreciate you giving me a platform, man, because that, I mean, some of that is not apolitical, but some of that has some. I mean, the economic education that I had really, affected my political views. So I'm not apolitical in that aspect. So thanks for letting me say what I did.
Dude, thank you. And I definitely do agree that like people in general should just be more financially aware. Like you were saying, we are like economically oppressed, and just it starts with just knowing, having knowledge, and being able to like be aware of your situation.
Yeah,
But
man.
this,
And also, like, real quick on that, like, if you were somebody that is like economically oppressed, man, don't feel bad about it. Like, you like, please do not feel bad about your like financial situation unless you have like a gambling addiction, in which like gambling on stocks can also be part of that, in which case you should get some help. But I think you might have cut out there. So do you want to say that one more time?
yeah, if you guys are listening, or any gamblers listening, please stop gambling for your own sake. I know it's easier said than done, but
Yeah, there are
just stop.
definitely resources out there that can help you. And a couple of years ago, there was somebody that won the Nobel Prize in economics, and they basically had this paper that said that no matter where you are on the economic spectrum, no matter who you are, a certain portion of your expenses and a certain portion of how you spend your money is going to be irrational. I'm like, just based on like, I just want to do this because I want to do it. And
Yeah.
like everybody, like if you were like, I want to do something so bad and I just don't have the money to do it, like obviously like that's fine. But like if you do, like, please don't feel bad about it, because the system is not set up for you to, like,
Succeed.
yeah. And, we all like everybody has to spend money to have fun. But I mean, obviously, like, be smart, but
To live. It seems like every day that I'm getting older, I'm just realizing like, holy cow, this is really expensive. just just having another day here is like really expensive, and I try and make budgets. So hard to stick to budgets.
yeah, man, especially when you're working with, you're not working with much.
Yep.
Yeah, man, I get that. I mean, like, I personally have a lot of student loans, and I do not have to pay those off right now or I don't have to make payments on a monthly basis, right now. And that is like so much money that I'm saving. And on top of that, I don't have to commute, which to commute in New York City is like $100 a month or over
Yeah.
$100 a month. How much is a Metro card nowadays, Brandon?
$2.75 a swipe.
Yeah. And then if you get it on a monthly basis,
It's like 131 plus
yeah.
tax.
Yep. So that's expensive. And like, you just need those to be able to ride the trains. And, honestly, like, that is super cheap compared to if you were out in a urban area. You'd be having a car. That would be gas, insurance payments on the car. So it's expensive to live in a first world country.
It really is. It's expensive to be alive, and that's why you should be really wise about your money, and just try your best to be rational with it.
Yeah.
But as far as what I've been playing,
I'm excited. I personally know you've been playing, and dude, Dragon Quest, baby.
Dude, Dragon Quest, I've been loving that game, and I'm gonna give you guys like a really wholesome review. I've also been playing some Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. I've been talking
Gotta
about
love
that a
that.
lot recently. Been moving up in that, getting some new cop cars, catching these racers. I know I said I like the racers more, but now I think I like being a cop. Taking down all these racers and
I'm pretty sure you said you liked being a cop more last time.
okay. Sorry
So do you
about
like
that.
being a racer more, or are you still sticking
No,
with?
no, still sticking with the cop. I love just having the tools and stuff. It's a little harder to be a racer. I'm not gonna lie. These racers are really good. And to get first place, which is like what you have to do to move on and unlock more races, is just super hard. But
Yeah,
I
dude,
still I
those
still
those
try it.
racing games are tough.
They really are, and they can be discouraging at times. And when I get discouraged, I'll go and hop on some Shield and try and fill out that dex, man.
Yeah.
I am playing Shield now trying to finish that out. I currently have like 6 badges on Shield because I restarted it when Blake got his copy of Sword. So I've been kind of like playing my own little route through the game.
Pretty sure we're gonna be talking about Pokemon next week.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna have a really extensive episode for you guys coming soon.
Because I beat the game.
You beat it entirely, and I heard you also got the expansion pass. So I did
get the expansion pass. I'm excited to tell you about it, man. I have some takes. I would do some things differently if I could go back.
So I'm so stoked to hear about that. And
dude, we gotta talk about Dragon's Quest. I can just tell that you were just so excited to talk about this. Dude, break it down for me.
Saving the best for last. All right, so there are role-playing games, and then there's Dragon Quest. You know, Square Enix, they're the developers behind this. Man, they really respected the ways of this 35-year-old franchise. That's right. I said 35 years. That's older than both Blake and I. So that's a really old franchise. And you play as a mute protagonist that prophecies say will succeed the last hero.
The Luminary.
You
get a dope-ass necklace from your mama.
And a nice tattoo on your hand. It's like
I forgot about that.
It's really sick. And in a twist of fate, the boy's royal birthright is snatched from him. On the day he becomes an adult, he finally discovers his true heritage. And when he goes to the king of the largest kingdom for guidance, he is
don't tell me. I'm just kidding. I had this part spoiled for me. I know it happens. I'm not quite at this point in the game yet, but I know it happens. So you go right ahead. But spoiler alert
he is
for
dubbed
coming up.
Dark Spot. The king calls him the Dark Spot, and he banishes him from Heliodor. He's like, you guys are criminals, get out of here. And so begins the perilous journey of a hunted hero and the ragtag band of adventurers who will join him on this quest to set things right. Together, they explore the towns and terrain of the sprawling, detailed land of Erdrea.
Just a dope name, by the way.
Yeah, Erdrea. I love that name. I wonder how they came up with it.
It's also like absolutely stunningly beautiful, and the landscape is just like so awesome.
So well done. Like the artists really took their time with this and made sure that we have a good experience. They really did it justice, Yeah,
the land of Erdrea just feels so huge and vast to me. I mean, I'm not as far into it as Brandon, but it just feels like, it feels huge, which I mean is a good thing for some people, bad thing for some people, but it's definitely big.
And if it's too much for you, you just miss the old ways. You can go to a church or one of the prayer statues and switch to 2D mode. Go back to the OG ways. And, monsters roam free, so they can catch you lacking. You can be walking, not paying attention, looking through your bag, and they'll come at you. And you got to fight them. And, it's turn-based combat. You got to choose.
You can kind of avoid some of the attacks too, can't you?
Yeah, you totally can. You totally can avoid some of the monsters and the attacks. You really, like, the turn-based combat makes you have to be strategic. You have to know when to attack. You have to know when to yield or use magic, and when to switch the orders that you give your party members. There is this part called tactics where you can kind of make strategies on the fly for how you're going to take down an enemy. And as you do, you'll earn skill points, which can be used to improve your partner's attacks, spells, and their abilities. And you can also collect materials so that you can forge weapons, armor, and accessories. In that really cool mini forge, you take it everywhere with you. So you can, as you collect things, you can kind of, build armor, you can improve weapons, you can reforge things. It's really, really cool and customizable. And if you're looking for a specific item, then help people out with side quests. There are tons of side quests. Or maybe try your hand at the casino for my gamblers out there.
Gamble in games.
Gamble in games.
Trade Pokemon, not stocks.
I like that. We might have to put that in like an episode. notes. We have to. Erdrea is jam-packed with surprises, and the player gets to decide how they want to play it, 3D, 2D. You can also change the soundtrack, which is something that I really appreciate. You can have like the OG, old Dragon Quest music playing.
I've heard about this. Is there like something off about the music that they had with it originally or something?
I mean, they have a new soundtrack, which is great. They did a good job at it, but it's just a little too like new for some people. Some people really like the old Dragon Quest music. It really gives them nostalgia, like myself. I know that I enjoy having the old soundtrack. But on that note as well, you can also choose the language in which you want the audio to play in, the language in which you want them to speak in. And I chose Japanese because I love watching anime and I love watching it in Japanese, like the language it was intended to be watched in, and just have my subtitles. And you can do that in the game as well, which I really, really appreciate. And I will say that the progression is really slow. A lot like Breath of the Wild. You're going to have to really play through a big hump before you can really get to the good parts of the game. Well, not good parts, but you can actually see the game for what it is. And once you're past that initial uphill, it's all downhill from there. You're in for one hell of a ride. I promise you that. So strap in and get yourself a copy of this title. You surely won't regret it if you're a fantasy head like Blake or I.
Yeah, definitely. And real quick, you can do what I'm doing and just play the demo, which the demo is free, and you can play the demo for up to 10 hours of actual gameplay. So, and you can do that for free. And then the only bad side about, I guess the only downside of having the demo is that you can't switch it to the 2D version, which is, and I bet you can't. I bet you probably couldn't switch the music to, if I had to guess. So there are some limitations to it. But
yeah, they'll probably limit you. And then 10 hours, if you're new to the franchise, I doubt you're gonna get past that initial hump.
Man, I took a step back. Me personally, I'm on the way to the castle right now. That's kind of where I'm at.
You're headed to Heliodor to meet the king.
That's where I'm going. I kind of, like I said, what happens when you get there? That had already been spoiled for me. But most people consider that the very beginning of the game. Which, how long did it take you to get there and do that?
It took me a while myself, and I haven't experienced it because I know what Dragon Quest is like, and it's one of those where you have to take your time. You have to grind out mobs and collect items, explore the world.
Yeah, from what I found out, that the game really rewards you for taking your time and going and checking different people out and really exploring, and which I personally love that. I love playing games like that where you have to actually look in every nook and cranny and think about what cool mechanics you could use to solve puzzles and stuff like that. And I love that personally, so I'm really excited for it. I did kind of bounce though, because I felt it's kind of funny, probably a little bit on brand, but I felt really bad for leaving that girl in my village behind, which
Dude,
probably a stupid
adorable
way to get off that, or a stupid reason to stop. And I was just man, I felt bad. I didn't want to leave her behind. I was dude, just ask her to hop on the back of your horse. You're the Illuminary. You're the chosen one, pal.
Yeah, but
can you tell me, do they ever meet back up?
Yeah, actually pretty recently after you go to Heliodor, you got to go back. And
I don't think I could do it without, we just, we've been together since, we were kids in the same village, growing up. We became, adults together. We did the challenge, right?
You got to go back to see, you got to go back to your hometown to see Mom Dukes after
I see the king.
Yeah, and you got to let her know, hey, Mom, I'm leaving for a really long time. And you see her again.
You do? Oh, damn, that's sad.
Yeah.
But you take your girl with you?
No, you don't.
Don't. What?
You guys part ways, but it's to my understanding that you will see each other again.
That's
you
bogus.
Will see each other again.
I'm not happy. I thought she was going to become a party member, Brandon.
I'm not sure if she will. I'm so excited to unlock more party members. Right now, I only have Eric, so But there are some really cool.
Is that the
party
main
members
character?
to unlock? Yeah, I think he's one of the like protagonists with you. Besides, like the
What's your
luminary.
character's name called? The silent protagonist. What's his name?
Mine is just BP.
Oh,
That's what they call me at work.
BP.
Yeah.
That's what I have you in my phone. I have you Brandon in quotation marks. BP.
You can't like forget that. It's just so simple.
You can't call me BM though, because that's Bell.
That's or baby mama.
I like that better, baby mama. Oh jeez. Well, just indirectly called myself a piece of shit. Well, what are you gonna do?
Man, this is one hell of an episode, man. I feel like we're getting a good balance.
Yeah, man. I'm really kind of. I feel like I'm getting down on myself for talking about the business news. All I wanted to do is talk about Dragon Quest, man. I'm really excited, dude. How many hours do you think you're into this?
I'm only about like 6 hours in, because it tells you your playtime when you save.
Yeah.
And I've gotten past I just got past this part that I told you I was stuck in last time. I was stuck there for a while, but I finally did it. I had to just take my time.
Was this the first boss, basically?
Which is yeah, pretty much. I had to fight like these twin griffins. And man, they were pretty mean looking, but I got pepped up. Do you know what pep powers are?
No, I haven't discovered that.
So pep powers are when, you and your party, you guys get this blue aura around you and you unlock this really cool like move sets that are really powerful, and your critical hit chances increase by 5%. And yeah, luckily I got pepped up just in time to beat those two Griffin brothers and took him down, and I snatched the red orb. And
nice,
now I wonder what I ought to do with that red orb.
Yeah. I think that right now there's a lot of questions I haven't answered about this game, but something that it kind of bummed me out when I discovered this, and I'm wondering if it's a big deal now that you've played it for 6 hours. I do not like having to make it to a save point to be able to save and quit the game. Like me personally, like that's one of the reasons that I love Pokemon so much, is because I can just stop. If I played for 1 minute or if I played for an hour, I can just like pause it, save it, and then boom, I'm done. I also like you can do it with Breath of the Wild. And I mean, it's not the biggest deal, but like, especially like for me right now, I'm living out of my suitcase, and, just being conscious in the moment is really important to me, with the people that I'm around physically. Yeah. So my real time in real life is more important to me. And sometimes I feel like that game mechanic can really take away from a good game. And that's
it definitely can.
But has it bothered you at all now that you're into it this much?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about playing like before, because I was a little early to like set up my stuff for this episode, and I was just going to bring my Switch up and play. Then I was like, wait, if I start playing and I do something, I'm going to have to go find a prayer statue that to save. And yeah, it's something that I have to be conscious about. But like I was going to say, there is an autosave feature that's really cool.
I think I have that turned on as well.
It regularly autosaves, but it's just not as good about autosaving.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we have to go into settings and like make it autosave like a certain amount of times.
Yeah, I'll look into that if I'm in the game. But I mean, I'm sure that there's not like an autosave kind of function where it's like, just because there are so many statues and churches, spread out. It kind of seems like that's like a mechanic that they like intentionally put there. And, I think that, it's such a big game. They probably did do that intentionally. So they're like, you have to, if you're going to play this, you have to commit to it. And sometimes that, I mean, obviously, like I said, sometimes that can really take away, and it just makes it a different kind of game to play. It really does change it.
I don't know. It's a mechanic that I find really helps me stay focused though.
Yeah. I mean, it has its pros and cons, and like most of the time I don't mind that at all. But like when I'm in a situation where my time is really valued, like, some weeks you're busier than others, and, in some situations you're busier than others. I mean, like us personally, we play a lot of games, especially for this podcast, where like me, I'm, trying to be more conscious of my time in real life to the people around me. And, video games take up a huge amount of time. So for me in this moment, I'm like, that's more important to me. But in a month, when I'm back in my New York City apartment without the people around me, it's probably going to be a different story.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for us to keep moving forward on this and keep updating the good old folks that listen to our Sticky Buttons pod on our progress, man, because this is a game that I see myself exploring even 3 months from now, 4 months from now.
Yeah, man, I think it's just gonna be.
There's just so much to do, and I just recently got a hold of the forge feature, and actually learned how to forge things. So if you have a question about that, I can help you with that. And it's such a cool feature. I took Eric's dagger and I improved it. And yeah, man, it's just
feel free to send us an email if you have any questions about this game or anything. You can reach us at thestickybuttonspod@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram at the sticky. I don't really know what our Instagram tagline is, but you can find us on Instagram. Feel free to send us a message. Sticky Buttons Pod.
DM us.
Yeah, we would love to have some listener feedback, listener questions. The most recent email that we got was from Apple, and they basically said, "Have a good Valentine's Day and shop for the people that you love with us here at Apple." So thanks Apple.
That's so heartfelt. They're totally thinking about us.
Not our money. That was so personal. Thanks, Apple. Yeah, I mean, I can really see us, kind of playing like one big RPG together, as this show kind of progresses, like we said, Brandon's, played Pokemon before and beaten it. And the newest Gen 8 Pokemon Sword and Shield. We're going to be talking about that next episode. So I can really see us, kind of playing one or two big RPGs, and kind of move through those and, keep you guys updated, as well as like some other smaller games. I've definitely got some other things on the horizon that we're going to talk about. I'm super excited about. Brandon's got some things too. I'm excited to see if he flips on this Hotline Miami and becomes the number one speed racer out there.
I just might. Don't sleep on me. Right now, I don't have all the good cards that I need, but as I go unlocking them, I'm definitely going to step up my game in the streets, get my bounty up.
Yeah, definitely, man. He's going to go full on dirty cop here in about 2 weeks. That's my prediction.
I wonder what's like the storyline there. Like, am I like a racer who's also a cop, but am I just like a cop that takes down racers, but I like race on my free time? I wonder how that works. It'd be really interesting to see.
What if like in Fast and Furious, one of those people was a cop
the whole time? Oh no!
Actually, they kind of did that. That's what The Rock. Yeah, well, there you
go. We're not going to disclose which one that was, but I mean, it's pretty easy to know which Fast and Furious that was. It was the only one with The Rock.
Have you seen any of those recently? Have they made any new ones? I mean, obviously, like.
I hope not.
Walker, but
I think they should just stop where they are right now and no more Fast and Furiouses for maybe another decade, and then just start again. Start new. Yeah, that's my opinion.
You can send us an email. Let us know if there's anything cool you guys are checking out. Any movies you guys are checking out? You just want to give us
recommend us some movies.
Any games or anything like that? Just feel free to let us know. We'd love to chat to you guys about it. So,
on the note of movies, have you been watching any movies recently, Blake?
I mean, not really, man. Just because I'm so busy, I really try and limit myself to the old video games, and I've really kind of given up watching TV and movies for this podcast. But me and my girlfriend had a couple movie nights recently, and those are really special. Just because it makes it feel more special. Just because I haven't been watching them.
Definitely. It's the same here for me. It's so hard for me to like sit down and watch a movie myself. But when I do, it's like my girlfriend and I will get on Zoom and watch a movie together. It's like one of the few ways we get to spend time together these days. And last night we were watching, we started watching Split by M. Night Shyamalan. Have you watched that?
No, dude, I haven't even heard of it. I don't even know what that is at all.
It's about this guy with like personality disorder, but he's like a borderline superhuman.
Yeah, I think I know what that is. He has like different personalities. He's like a horror kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like those, man.
Dude,
I don't do the horror. I don't do the horror.
I love horrors.
I don't mind horror video games, but the horror movies, I just feel like are just, I don't know, they just like freak me out in a way, and I like can't sleep.
I used to be the same way, but it's like one of those things. It's like an acquired taste, like spicy food.
Yeah, definitely. Do you play any horror video games?
I used to play Five Nights at Freddy's back in the day. That was a really interesting one. What else? I think zombies is a horror. You know, like I guess it could be. You know, if you sit like a little kid in front of that, like they're just like,
oh yeah, they can definitely be scary at times. Especially like I normally turn the volume like down or off, but like if you have the volume on, like man, it can be creepy and it can really unnerve you.
I really enjoy the fact, like the detail that the audio engineers put into that. Like there's different sounds that the zombies make, and it's great. It's really great.
Yo, dude, actually, man, I have actually played one horror game recently that I kind of want to highlight. So obviously it's February and spooky season is October. So I guess it was 4 months ago.
Hey, it's always spooky season over here.
Yeah. Dude, we should actually check out this game because I'm pretty sure that it's on the Switch. I'm pretty sure it's on PlayStation and Xbox, and I'm pretty sure it's on mobile too. Okay, so the game is called Inside. Have you heard of it?
Have not. Inside.
Oh man, I guess it's not a horror game. I guess it's more of like a spooky kind of. It's like an indie game, but it's an indie side scroller, and it's like super spooky and creepy. Yeah, here, let me see. So yeah, you can get it for $4 on the PlayStation Store right now. I have it on the Xbox Store. I'm pretty sure you can download it on. Yeah, so it's kind of like a side scroller, and I mean, like honestly, I'm not really sure what the entire story is, but it is definitely unnerving, and you are a kid, and if anybody sees you, like they kill you or kidnap you, and there are like dogs, and like the dogs can kill you, and it's just like absolutely insane. It's kind of like a puzzle side scroller, but it's in like it's not all black and white, but I guess you can actually, I think they have a demo for free on the
App Store.
Yeah.
Go check that out, folks. Go check out Inside, and we'll definitely cover that on a future episode for you guys.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused now. There's also a game called Limbo, which is out.
I can't wait till Halloween time and we can cover a bunch of scary games.
Yeah, so really quick, just an update on this. If you are looking to play Inside, or if you have played Inside before, they actually have a new game out called Limbo, which looks even spookier. But yeah, it basically looks like the same kind of vibe. It's like a black and white grayscale kind of spooky side scroller, and it does a really good job. It's like an indie developer hit because there are moments of like high intensity where like if you mess up, like it's over for you, and like those high moments are just so heightened because they're just so intense. But it also like it's balanced out so well because there are like really mellow moments where you're like, I have no idea what's going on and I have to figure out this puzzle, but it's also like very creepy and unnerving.
Dude, that reminds me of another game I used to play, a horror game I would play with my friends a lot. Are you familiar with Friday the 13th on PlayStation and Xbox?
I have not, no. This is, I mean, honestly, this game Inside is pretty much the only and like first game experience that I have in this genre. And also, really quick, some of the prices that I was citing, like $13 for this Inside, that is actually $13 for both Limbo and Inside, which are indie developers. So, I mean,
that's awesome.
You're looking for like a spooky game. But so what was Friday the 13th? What was that?
So have you ever seen the movie Friday the 13th?
No, I have not. I mean, like obviously I know like Friday the 13th is supposed to be like cursed or is this the one where it's like just like a Freaky Jason. Friday thing?
There's like a killer Jason, and his mom drowned him, I think, or she tried to drown him, and he like survived, and then he became like a killer. And yeah, there is a bunch of teenagers. They go to a cabin in the woods, and Jason doesn't like that, and he's gonna kill them. And you have to play as these characters and try, and someone plays as Jason, and you have to like try and get away from him. And it's a really fun game because you can escape if you play as a team and you like defeat Jason in time. But more often than not, Jason won, and it's fun to play both perspectives. It's really scary because you just don't know where he is. You can turn a corner and he'll pop out on you. It's Dude, honestly, we got to try that. I feel like you would really enjoy Friday the 13th.
Yeah, man. I would really be down for that. I would honestly, I don't know if there's a way that we could do this, but I feel like I would be extra down to play like a spooky game, like maybe like a co-op game or something like that, where we both could kind of like, or we could even maybe once coronavirus is all said and done and we can meet up in person, maybe like we could go life for life on like a stream or something where pass the
Yeah,
controller
man.
back and forth.
Have you heard of a game called Left 4 Dead?
I have heard of that. I was also going to bring up another one. Dude, it's crazy that we've never talked about this entire genre before. But like, I think I have the game Dead Space on
Dead
like a
Space.
360
That sounds
disc.
familiar.
Yeah. So I think isn't Left 4 Dead like a zombie game where it's like a linear path kind of thing?
Yeah, it's a zombie game, but it's like one hell of a story. I love the writing on Left 4 Dead and
Did you ever play any of the Last of Us's?
Last of Us. Yep,
Did you
played The
play?
Last of Us.
Did you play part one or part two?
I think I played two, and I got it for free on the Xbox Marketplace. Shout out Xbox, Microsoft.
They have that. I thought it was a PlayStation exclusive.
I might be bugging in it. Yeah, it has to be PlayStation. That makes a lot more sense. Really fun game. I really enjoyed that story, and
I feel like we can't get into that now, but because I feel like that took the world for storm. But I mean, I never played the first one, so
yeah, there's so much on that genre, man. I'm excited to explore that. We should stay tuned for October Sticky Buttons podcast. This coming season, we're gonna come hard with the horror games, and
yeah, might even bring it up a little bit beforehand. But
it's coming at you.
yeah, we've been making some changes over here at the Sticky Buttons podcast. Recently, Brandon has started pretty much editing exclusively.
Yeah.
So shout out to you, man. Before that, it has been me doing that, but I'm excited to pass on the torch. And in that time frame, a lot of, you will know if you've been listening, we kind of record and post at a little bit of a lag, and that lag is kind of going down. So I think we're about 3 weeks ahead of, we record 3 weeks ahead of when we post right now. That might change in the future, but just something to keep a heads up. So now that we kind of have that like system in place, we kind of can plan out the future a little bit better, and so we might even be able to announce some things. So like, for example, next week we will be talking about Pokemon Sword and Shield. So if you have any questions about Pokemon Sword and Shield, like feel free to send us an email about that at the Sticky Buns Pod. And yeah, we will not get those emails because my math is wrong there. So
Yeah, I was just thinking like, wait, next week we're recording it.
Yeah, next week we're recording it, and
we'll catch up soon. I'm really getting good at this editing process.
Dude, you're absolutely killing it, man. I feel like I was not that good at it, but
I can't wait till Sunday. This Sunday, I'm gonna drop episode 12 on you guys. Got some good content coming at you there, and then already editing the episode after that, which is 13. We're currently recording episode 16 for you guys. So I'm stoked to just take this process and just see where I can go with it. See how quickly and efficiently I can do it, and hopefully catch up for you guys. And if I get really good at it, we can spend more time dropping some more content for you guys. Some live streams. Get on the channel. We do have the Sticky Buttons Pod channel on YouTube.
We currently don't have anything on that, but I think that we should probably change that, dude. We should probably put a little Pokemon fight up there or something. Just something small.
Something for the fans, to subscribe, show us some fan love.
And yeah, we're also like we're trying to grow right now. So if you like our podcast, like feel free to share it with a friend. The more support that we have on this, the more we can do other things as well. And just thanks to all you guys that are supporting. You guys have been a very, very silent audience, so we can see you are listening. So thank you. And like honestly, like please, like feel free to reach out. Like it is totally okay for you to send us a message, send us an email. And like even if there's like it could even be like just a hey, what's up? And we'll say, hey, what's up back to you.
Yeah.
We
might even shout you out on the pod.
Yeah, definitely.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward to bringing on some other people on the pod as well.
Yeah, we're making some plans for maybe having some potential guests on here. I'm really excited about that. And it's just we're really excited for what's to come. How have you guys been liking our intros? I feel like those all came from my head. So I hope they pan out for you guys.
Yeah, and I'm excited to drop the next season of intros on them. That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to collab with you about that, man. I think we're going to make something really dope.
Definitely. Getting the creative juices flowing on this. It's amazing.
Yeah, man. And also, I just wanted to say I had lost my train of thought, but just thanks to everyone that like provided us, some feedback. And, we both have some mics now. We got a little bit of a schedule and we're planning things out a little bit better and making some notes. And today, unfortunately, it went a little bit longer than what we planned for. But, I think that's fine because we covered some really important stuff to both of us. With both like that financial news and also, Dragon Quest XI. And I'm so excited to be checking that out in the future and bringing that to you guys. So we are going to try and keep it close to an hour in the future. If you feel strongly about that, feel free to send us, like, if there's overwhelming support, for one way or the other about our episode times, like we would be open to changing that for you guys. So just let us know.
Yeah,
and just thanks so much to everybody that's been listening, and just shout out to everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Sticky Buttons pod. It's been great.
Yeah, dude. Bye, GME. It's gonna go to the moon. But don't. Have you seen any of those things where they shave it in there? I saw something where somebody shaved GME.
I did not see that, but that is